in most of Matt Walsh's monologues, he talks about the social mores of our country. Like, we're not great at all. And so you kind of have to choose a lane. And I think we're using value judgments based on things like measures of affluence. The truth is, the value of a country is not fully represented by simply measuring its affluence. And podcaster Matt Walsh is known for his very strong conservative takes. He has been one of the leading voices in the gender ideology movement, standing up for some of the basic principles of truth and sanity. He has very boldly proclaimed his Christian faith and his Christian heritage, and yet sometimes he is attacked even from his own side because of the harshness of his rhetoric. Now, not only does he not back down from the harshness of his rhetoric, he doubles down on that, saying that someone has to be willing to get in the mud and someone has to be willing to fight. And I appreciate that. We even see some of the great prophets of Scripture who were standing against all of kind of the social fads and the ways that Israel had gone astray from God, and they were willing to get in the mud and they were willing to stand their ground, and they used harsh rhetoric. I do think there's a time and place for that. I do also think that it is deeply important that we are accurate in our assessments and accurate in what we decide to stand for. Lately, Matt Walsh caught my attention when he let some of his opinions about the island of Haiti be heard. Now, he went to great lengths to talk about the devastating state that that country is in right now. If you don't know much about Haiti, it sits right off the coast of Florida. It shares an island with the Dominican Republic. So it's the same island, but the DR is advanced so far beyond Haiti, it has been left behind in time in some regards. A few years ago, the president of Haiti was assassinated, and in that power vacuum, gangs actually took over. For all intents and purposes, there is not a government of Haiti right now. It's an incredibly dangerous place to live. Violence is through the roof. Kidnapping is through the roof. Now, I'll put my cards on the table. I've spent a lot of time in Haiti working over there with Pastor John Alix, who helped start 10 churches. They have 4 schools, 2 orphanages, doing unbelievable work. They have an entrepreneurship program for young women over there. I mean, a shining light in the midst of Haiti. The Haitian people are deeply, deeply special to me and personal to me. I have many friends over there who are themselves Haitians. And so I have a vested interest in this conversation. I'm not going to pretend like I don't. And I just think that Matt Walsh's take, first on how he describes Haiti, and then on his conclusions because of that description when it comes to issues of immigration, which we've talked a lot about on the podcast, lack nuance, and the harsh rhetoric attached to it just simply is not accurate. And so let's take a look at Matt Walsh on the state of play in Haiti.
Haiti is not a great country. It's an awful country, an awful place. There's nothing great about it. Like, not now, not historically, just a terrible, terrible place. The word great in this context may have some ambiguity to it. People can define great in different ways, but at the most basic level, a great country is one where its people are generally able to thrive and prosper. Great can mean more than that, but it must mean at least that. It is incoherent to describe a country where almost nobody prospers as great. It is much more coherent to describe such a country as a crap hole. Indeed, you can usually detect the crap hole countries and distinguish them from the great countries because people from the crap hole countries are always trying to get into the great countries. It never goes the other way around. There has never been, ever, a flood of illegal immigrants from the U.S. going into Haiti. That has never happened. The flood has always gone the other way. And of course, that brings us back to the most important point in all of this, the end result, the self-fulfilling prophecy, we might say, which is that America becomes less great the more it allows unchecked immigration from the very not great countries. We are not a crap hole like Haiti, but import enough of Haiti into this country, and we might eventually get there. Then we will be the utopia that Stephen Colbert and Conan O'Brien dream of. Then maybe they'll wear America's great already hats and walk.
So that is basically his point. Now, he is echoing the sentiment of former President Donald Trump, known for harsh rhetoric as well, when he called Haiti and other third world countries. So that was his take, and Matt Walsh is affirming that. and then he's defining it. And what he says is you can't call a country great when the people there are not able to thrive or prosper. And so what exactly does that mean? Because he's making a value statement. Does Haiti struggle significantly in economic matters? Absolutely. They are the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. That means on our side of the world, typically we think of some of the impoverished and developing countries in Central and South America. They don't hold a candle to what's going on in Haiti. Haiti has a very unique background. The Haitian people were slaves to the French, who had a colony on the island of Haiti. And there was the only successful slave revolt, like almost in human history. The one exception would be maybe God delivering the Israelites from the Egyptians in the book of Exodus, right? Like that, and then drowning all of Egypt's army in the Red Sea. So this is like the only successful time that slaves got together, revolted against the French, who were the prime military in the whole world at that time, and took over the island, and they have held power there ever since. And they have struggled. They have struggled to develop their economy. They've struggled agriculturally. They have struggled in education. At the same time, as far as I know, Matt Walsh has not been to Haiti, and I've spent a lot of time on the ground in Haiti. And what's so interesting is very few people will critique the modern state of the American society like Matt Walsh. And what he talks about is how there are no family values and how people are confused about the most basic issues of marriage and biology. He will talk about how we have lost our sense of civic pride, that people don't look out for each other anymore, that we have lost all hope, that everyone in the country seems to be on antidepressants, that everyone is just kind of dumbing themselves and numbing themselves. And he points at all of these social ills. And I'm telling you, on the ground in Haiti, those things are not happening.
Wow.
You go over there and you come home unbelievably convicted because you have all of the crap that you could ever possibly want, and you're depressed and lonely and discontent and envious of the people around you. And you go to Haiti and you see people who have more joy per capita than any place you've ever been in America, unless maybe you've been in a very healthy spiritual community. They have more of a social understanding of looking out for one another. They know how to sacrifice for the greater good of each other. They're not dealing with all of the Western maladies that are infecting our minds and our souls that Matt Walsh spends the majority of his time talking about. James, the brother of Jesus, he wrote, "Listen, my dear brothers and sisters, has God not chosen those who are poor in the eyes of the world to be rich in faith and to inherit the kingdom he promised to those who love him?" Isaiah 55, God reminds his people, as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. When the great prophet went to find the next king, he looked at David, and David was the forgotten son. He was too small and too young. And God reminded him, I don't look on things the way that man looks on things. Man looks on the outside, but God looks at the heart. And so we're qualifying something as a crap hole, and it's not great. And if Haitians came here to America, they would just infect this great country, even though but in most of Matt Walsh's monologues, he talks about the social mores of our country, like we're not great at all. And so you kind of have to choose a lane. And I think we're using value judgments based on things like measures of affluence. The truth is, the value of a country is not fully represented by simply measuring its affluence. And so let's look at the conclusion that Matt Walsh draws based on his understanding and his valuing of Haiti as a crap hole country.
And I've also said many times that if I lived in Haiti myself, I would want to leave. And I'd want to come to America, because if I'm looking around in the hemisphere, like places nearby, where can I go? Yeah, obviously, the United States of America is going to be the best place to go. And if I could just sneak across, and I could sneak my family across, and then even if I make it in, I could take advantage of welfare and everything else. Would I do that? Probably, because in this situation, I'm Haitian. I'm not American. I don't care about America's laws. And I don't really care that much about the prosperity and well-being of America. It's not my country. I'm looking out for myself. I'm looking out for my family. So I understand all that, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference. Yeah, the illegal immigrants have different motivations and different priorities. But the point is that none of them care. None of them are coming here because they're saying to themselves, I really want to make America a better place. I want to help America become prosperous. That's what I want to do. None of them, 0% of them are coming for that reason, because that's not their priority. But it has to be somebody's priority. It has to be our priority. They can prioritize whatever they want. Doesn't matter. We have to prioritize, and our leaders have to prioritize American sovereignty. Yeah, the illegals don't care about that. Of course they don't. We need to care about it. We need to care about our sovereignty. We need to care about the well-being of America and Americans. And what that means is we stop illegals from coming here, and if they come, we round them up and we ship them off. Nothing personal. I don't need to see it as a personal thing. These are all terrible people, and that's not necessarily the case. It's not anything personal against them. It's just we need to take care of our country. And that means we cannot have hordes of third world immigrants just coming in whenever they want. And then by the way, as much as you say they all come here and work hard, many of them, in fact, come here and then hop right on the welfare rolls. That is a fact.
So that's the conclusion, that we've got these crap hole countries. We can't just have hordes of people coming over. Yes, their country has been taken over by gangs against their will. The average person did nothing to cause that. They're just suffering in complete abject misery because of it. Yes, the now de facto leader is a guy named Barbecue, who got that name by murdering and burning the bodies of his victims.
Wow. But,
sucks to suck. Should have been an American. We talked a lot about immigration on this program, and unvetted mass migration from Haiti is a definite cause for concern. We're seeing the violence. We're seeing the danger that is happening over there. We have to have some kind of vetted process. At the same time, Matt says himself, if I were Haitian and I could, I would, even illegally, enter into the country. The nuance that is missing is a situation of this magnitude should wake us up to the need for immigration reform. We should be able to get our house in order to when there is an actual emergency among us right off our coast. We have some kind of process to vet people and bring people in. And his point is like, the immigrants coming in don't care about making the country better. They just care about themselves. That was the promise of the American dream for all immigrants of all time, is I can go and build something for myself, for my children. I can build a legacy there. And by wanting to come and build something great for yourself, you end up building something great into the fabric of the country itself. You guys know I've spoken very clear about this. The idea of immigration is this false dichotomy between compassion and boundaries. Those are not mutually exclusive. As a matter of fact, they rely on each other. You have to have boundaries to exercise true compassion, and you have to have compassion for people by creating boundaries so that the people with the worst intent and evil motivations don't overrun the needs of those who would be a value add to the country as immigrants. And I just think we have to be careful if we are going to lead out with our Christian credentials when we have these conversations. Matt honestly could have said almost all of this and just used some better rhetoric, and I wouldn't even be talking about it right now. But instead, he's drawing these lines that I don't know we're allowed to draw as believers. There is this key moment. I mean, one of the most transformative teachings in the life of Jesus. And of course, it's a very, very well-known parable. It's the parable of the Good Samaritan. An expert in the law stands up and asks Jesus, what must I do to inherit eternal life? And Jesus says what's written in the law, and he says, love the Lord your God with all your heart and your soul and your strength and your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. Jesus says, you've answered correctly. But the guy wants to justify himself, and so he asks, who is my neighbor? That's a question that he's going to regret asking. And so Jesus took up the question and said, a man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell into the hands of robbers. They stripped him, beat him up, and fled, leaving him half dead. A priest walked by, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. And then a Levite passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, who was a different ethnicity, who was from a different country, who the Jewish people hated so much during that time that when they had to pass from Jerusalem to Jericho, they would add an extra day to their trip, wasting time and money to go around Samaria because they hated the Samaritans. A Samaritan came up to him, and when he saw the man, he had compassion. He went over to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on olive oil and wine, and put him on his own animal and brought him to an inn, took care of him. And then the next day took out his own money and gave to the innkeeper and told him to take care of him. And when I come back, I'll reimburse you. And Jesus asked, which of these three do you think proved to be a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of the robbers? And the man answered, the one who showed mercy to him. And Jesus told him, go and do the same. So Haitians may not be our countrymen. They may not be the same as us ethnically. They may be different. They may be from a crap hole country, if you want to designate it based on the metrics of affluence. But according to Jesus, they are our neighbor. Does that mean we just completely have open borders and let anyone that we want come in? Of course not. We've gone through this. We need boundaries and we need compassion. And we need a leadership class with the wisdom and the fortitude to actually reform and at this point, maybe even revolutionize, because it is so broken, our immigration process. Yes, there are people in Central and South America who are struggling, and we should be able to get to the people who are true refugees and their lives are on the line. We have these pockets of these problems. And yes, there are people who are economically downtrodden and of course would want to move to America. But right now we have a giant flashing red sign, an actual emergency, a failed state of people who need help. And that is a governmental problem. It is also a spiritual problem. And it is a problem that Christians should see not as a political club to wield against other people, but we should see as our neighbors who are in need of our help. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you are subscribed so you can stay up to date with all new content. And if you want early access, exclusive content, and monthly live Q&As, make sure to check out patreon.com/ClaytonTyner.